month of May. All right, to the logos. The NCAA Rules Committee meeting next week to discuss permitting schools to display corporate logos on the fields, patches on jerseys possibly there too, a year out from implementation, and yet more money, not just for the university, but possibly a part of the revenue sharing model.
Yeah, this is going to happen. This is absolutely going to happen. Look, the pro sports mostly do it. I mean, I think the NFL does it on their practice jerseys, not on the game jerseys, but you see NBA jerseys now all have logos on them, and that's revenue stream. And the more money you're going to have to share with the athletes, or, when you have to find $22 million to throw into a pot to share with athletes, you're going to have to try to find new ways to make that $22 million, and there's going to be logos all over the field. All over the field and all over the jerseys. There's no way this is not going to happen and happen fast.
Like in soccer or NASCAR, Craig?
I don't know if they really have to do it. I'm sure there are some schools that have to. I don't think all of them have to do it, but I think it's just another way to make more money. Ultimately, I do think there's probably some schools that will benefit to have this as an alternative to raising money. So, otherwise they might be a little bit more of a pickle than, say, a Michigan or an Ohio State or somebody along those lines. Any of the teams in the top two conferences who are going to be making such a higher amount of money, I don't see where they're going to be hurting the same way. But they stand to just counteract what they're going to be spending with it, another avenue. So, yeah, I mean, it's not anything we haven't seen before. We watch bowl games, don't we? Mm-hmm. We see logos plastered all over the jerseys. I've seen that point made 1,000 times because it's the obvious point to make, is there's plenty of corporate sponsorships on jerseys. We see it every December and January. So it's just going to be more of a permanent thing. I hated it when the NBA did it because I was thinking of like soccer, where it's not just like a little patch in the shoulder. It's like name. It's the name across the chest. It's the name on the back. It's like name on, like, it's everywhere they can put it that'll make them some money. It's not quite NASCAR, but it's like the light version of that, and I thought that that's what the NBA was going to be like, or the European basketball is like that as well. But the NBA, they did it in a subtle manner where, yeah, you notice it sometimes, but it's not like your eyes are immediately drawn to it. Like, oh my God, look at that ugly corporate patch on the Mavericks jersey. Sure. Like, you kind of you're just used to it. So if it's something along those lines, I don't think we'll really probably notice it all that much. I think it'll be okay, and you got to find money somewhere. And your degree of need is in debate depending on what your school you're talking about. Like I said at the beginning, but I don't think this is enough of a departure from tradition as some people are positioning it as, because, again, the bowl game example, and you look at all sorts of other sports in America that are doing similar. Baseball does it. I mean, the only one who doesn't at this point is the NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if NHL has corporate logos. I don't think so, but I don't know for sure on that because I don't watch enough to.
And they certainly do on the ice. I mean, in the
all over the ice and stuff. Yeah, I'm just talking about jerseys specifically. But
I can't.
I'm going to Google a soccer NHL.
Yeah,
player.
NHL. I'm not. You know what? I watched the entire game last night and didn't even think about it to look. And of course, part of the problem with the NHL is you don't get a lot of, like, if maybe not as valuable because you don't get as many close-up shots of the jerseys because the whole game, has to move so fast.
They do
on the wide shot. So
I'm looking at Sagan. No logos that I can see on his jersey except the shoulder patches, which is a part of the Stars logo.
They do.
They do?
They do, yeah. I'm seeing right here, in front of me that they do. And I just didn't know off the top of my head whether they did or not. But, they started that, I guess, 22-23. And the Capitals were the first team. They had a deal with Caesars Sportsbook. And then various teams started to follow suit after that. So unless that's changed in the last year and a half, I don't follow hockey all that closely, as I mentioned a few times. But, I think that's just become the standard new outlet to gain more money. So I know it's another, like, a hit on tradition, but I don't know. I feel like we've kind of crossed that bridge anyway. So might as well bring it on, as long as it's not like European soccer where that's the logo on the chest. Like, it still needs to be Oklahoma, not AT&T, and then there's an OU patch in the corner. It needs to be the other way around. As long as they do it that way, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. I see Bauer on the pants. I don't see a lot of logos, though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not everybody has one, but some of them do.
Yeah. So I think the the booze restrictions that certain schools have will all be gone, save for the ones who have, like BYU and Baylor, who, it's kind of a tenet of what they do that they're not going to allow it. Those will go away. You'll see a lot more, beer advertisements in stadiums all over the place.
God, we're just going to get DraftKings all over the place. Well,
college is going to have to hold that off as long as they can. Yeah, there you go. There's the Capitals.
Oh my, yeah,
yeah. So
they have them.
Yeah. They're gonna have to
Thank you, Jack.
They're gonna stiff arm FanDuel and DraftKings and all that other stuff. But I would not be surprised to see them make a deal with, say, a Yahoo or an ESPN to do college fantasy football, which just not a DFS type thing. Which there is DFS for that where they're gonna promote it, but a promoted college fantasy football thing on the same level as NFL fantasy football, traditional, roster.
So we're about to see a tube of toothpaste on Colgate Stadium field. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. All those things are going to happen because they're gonna have to do it. So
that was from Roy Melton.
Any way you can make, that's good. But yeah, probably. I mean, any way you can make money, they're going to try to find a way to make money because they suddenly can't stuff it all in their own pockets, and now they've got $20 million, let's say, that you have to account for that you probably weren't spending on your roster before. Some teams are definitely spending millions and then say, well, it's not NIL related. Our success isn't okay. Yeah. Like you're spending millions of dollars on your roster, but it's not okay. But regardless, even those who are spending on their rosters already are probably not spending $20 million.
Yeah.
So if you can suddenly do that, not everybody, like I said at the very beginning, is going to be able to do that. And even those who have good money are still going to be like, damn, that's another $5 million we've got to account for that we were already not spending. So, and look, you can go beyond that with the NIL, and so any money you can get, people are looking for right now, and this just makes sense to be another layer of doing that.
You think we'll see an NIL collective logo on the field?
That would seem to maybe
be against the whole point of it, wouldn't it?
Or like not as effective, right?
Right, because what businesses will we not see on logos? Obviously,
like cigarettes. But
you don't see them anywhere. Yeah.
But
fantasy,
daily fantasy gambling. You won't see those. I mean, right away. Eventually, college is going to make some sort of.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come to some agreement where suddenly you can play fantasy college football, like you said, on an up-and-up era. But I don't think that means we're going to see, like, DraftKings splattered all over like we do with the NFL. Now, if they want to splatter their logo all across our show, by all means.
Yeah.
But I don't think that college is going to get hit like all the pro sports seemingly did, where it's like you couldn't watch more than 5 minutes without getting a commercial.
So
Love's patch is on the Oklahoma City, the softball. It's Love's Field. And they got a big Loves.
But I think that you'll see social media companies at large do it. I think you'll see. I mean, I don't think there's
the list of what they won't have is way shorter than the list of what they will have.
Like there will be Budweiser is going to be on the field somewhere.
Yeah, it won't be at Baylor.
It won't be at
BYU.
No, but
and it may not be at a lot of other places either.
Like I'll tell you right now, Notre Dame will take Jameson in a second.
Yeah,
we don't. We're against a lot of things in the Catholic Church, but that ain't one of them.
Is that really their go-to whiskey? Is Jameson?
No, it's just Irish whiskey. That's why I said
know, it. But it's also like the butt of a joke in Seinfeld. Is how if Jameson wants to sponsor this podcast, I'll talk about how great it is. But
will there be naughty websites allowed?
No.
No, everyone knows the answer to that.
No,
you're not allowed in Texas at least.
But I would bet you that Bumble or Hinge or somebody would maybe advise dating services. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure we'll see like Meta on Stanford jerseys or something like that. I mean, whatever. I mean, we all kind of know like there's certain things that are just going to be off limits, but I think anything else is up for grabs. And look no further than basically everybody but the NFL at this point is doing it. I mean, watching the Rangers game, they got corporate logos. They're subtle, but they have them, and everybody else in baseball does too, I think, and most of the NHL teams, if not all of them at this point. So NBA, we already talked about them. And the Mavs, when I first saw them, I can't even tell you what it is. It's still the chime. It was last year, but I don't even know. Like it just blends in. It's not as big of a deal as you think it is, so long as you do it in a subtle way.
And the other value for chime on that is like if you're going to buy the real Luka jersey, you're going to buy it, like you're going to walk around with a chime ad on you.
Sir blah, 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 Toronto Maple Leaf sweaters are sponsored by Milk.
Yeah, there you go.
Just the All-American dairy,
Well, I mean,
not in Toronto.
all Canadians.
Oh, that's right.
Well, they'll tell you that is America. It's just not the United States of America. But the Toronto Maple Leafs brought to you by milk, and their fans feel like it.
Yeah.
they certainly do. Haven't won a Stanley Cup in quite a long time.
Does the field at Oregon have a Nike logo on it? Well, that no one does right now, right?
No.
College football stadiums don't have, unless it's a bowl game. Yeah.
But I would assume that as soon as the vote happens
boom.
on that, there'll be a swoosh on
They'll be out
other
there.
side.
That's the thing. Like we already see corporate logos. We see the Nike logo. We see the Jordan logo. Like we already those are companies that are sponsors.
Like Michigan's jerseys, you can't not see the Jordan logo.
Right.
You can't not see
Nike.
You can't not see
Hey,
Adidas.
by the way, speaking of that, how many of the 130 whatever FBS schools, FBS schools, how many of them are Nike Jordan schools? Like
Jordan
15 of
specifically,
them?
there's not that many.
There's like a handful of them.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
About it. What would Baylor's logo be if they had a corporate logo on their field? It would not.
obvious
Dr.
one
Pepper.
It's still.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think Dr. Pepper makes a ton of sense. I don't know how much they nationally advertise at this rate. I don't feel like I see them all that often, but they do a little bit. Obviously, Magnolia is the one that you just default to.
Sure.
That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. But Magnolia, Dr. Pepper, and then beyond that, I mean, you got First National Bank on the stadium. So, in theory, they could do the jerseys as well. A bank sponsor could do that for any team. So I think that they've already done a ton. So you just could kind of lump them in as maybe a possibility.
You see outside the stadium the Texas Farm Bureau insurance.
Same thing.
Which is not a part of it when it was originally open with McLean Stadium, and Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is from Waco, and of course it's nationwide, but they're very much involved.
Anything other than porn and gambling, is pretty much I think up for grabs in fantasy. I guess that's gambling. So anything other than that, and then certainly
CBD probably.
CBD, I hope so, because you talk about just splattering logos all over the place. My God, what an eyesore. But yeah, I think that would probably be like nicotine. It's more the nicotine's the addiction, not the tobacco. So I think nicotine would probably be off limits. As well.
Well, they can't publicize anything, can they?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, no matter what. Yeah,
not so much in this country. I mean, everywhere else doesn't care.
Right.
But,
so,
everything
else though,
I would love to see the Florida Gators jerseys brought to you by Leroy's Vape Shop. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I could see. If the price tag was low enough, I don't know. They're going to be looking for, I think, a little higher clientele as far as like wanting Mercedes and things like that. But man, I guess if you get desperate, you could probably get Leo's Vape Shop or something on there. But no, that would be off limits. I don't. I mean, it seems obvious, like the kind of the main vices that don't go well with college athletes, I think, are just pretty no brainers. But everything else, you could have I guess see Texas with. I mean, might as well slap a Lamborghini logo on the jerseys at this point with the big NIL coup they have with the Lamborghini dealership in Austin. Like, why not throw it on the jerseys, or Mercedes logo for
what is their logo?
Georgia?
What is the Lamborghini logo?
It's the bull.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, Greg Byrne, AD at Alabama, we pride ourselves in tradition and conservative when it comes to moves like the logo on the field. For instance, most iconic uniforms, helmets, they have that A. Would they ever replace that Alabama, that scripted A, with like something else?
Absolutely
like
not.
No,
Absolutely
but you could
not.
like Greg Byrne is also kind of playing to his base there a little bit.
All day today, apparently.
Well, yeah. I mean, but come on now. Like, they can't. You can do a patch on the uniform that says, Budweiser, and people will maybe not notice as much. Or if you don't want to do uniforms, and Alabama maybe doesn't need this as much, but you can have your guys paint a logo on the field. It's not going to be and the thing is, you can say, well, we'd like to be more traditional about this, and then you're like, oh, $22 million that you don't get to pocket anymore. They're like, where can we get that $22 million? Hey, Leroy's Vape Shop, and
No, you get the Kratom logo on there. You get the Kratom 20% off sponsor. No, I mean, it's not going to obviously hit that level, but I mean, we're talking mostly about jersey patches, and those are the ones that are not anywhere get close to official. The on-field seems like it's much more on the forefront. I just think the jersey's more of a lightning rod because that's like you're watching the players, and it's always been kind of taboo of like the logos on jerseys, and a lot of people don't like that. But the on-field stuff, I don't know that that'll be all that noticeable. And that's just a logical next step when we're talking about the money that's being demanded or that is needed now or wanted as much as anything. You
want to hear what NCAA College Football Commissioner Greg Sankey had to say?
Sure.
I grew up in Syracuse, so I was accustomed to the Carrier Dome, which is now the JMA Wireless Dome. So this is not new within college sports. We've had clear lines, though. So it hasn't been a period on the field. I would anticipate there's going to be a continuing push of those limits.
That is Greg Sankey saying, as soon as I can convince people
we can get
to take this money, we will. And part of that is, the athletic directors don't get to make this decision on their own. The presidents don't get to make the decision completely on their own. They all kind of have to come together, and there's going to be some that are like, oh, I can't imagine. We can't do this. And then somebody's going to say $22 million.
Yeah, if you want to write the check instead of FedEx.
Yeah. Like
Memphis, you would think there'd be a FedEx logo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, we already see naming rights on stadiums. We're going to see it on the field. We're going to see it on the jerseys eventually as well. And that's just following more of the pro sports path. So, we'll go watch bowl games at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and not bat an eye over it and see the Mercedes logos on the field and not bat an eye over it. So it's just going to be more commonplace, and not everybody's obviously going to have it. There might be like, you'll see Albertsons on Boise States or something, but I think it's not as big of a deal as it's being made out to be already. Yeah, probably. I don't think it's really going to be that much of a change to the way you watch or anything.
A&M's baseball field is called Bluebell Park, they're already now. Look, naming rights for Kyle Field, like it would be different because that tradition for those fans would be like, well, it could be Kyle Field, but brought to you by Buc-ee's or something,
or something at Kyle Field,
whatever.
All right, let's go to the list.